you. So this is July 17th, 2025. And this is the Public Market Advisory Commission, and it is 5:51. So let's start us off with a call to order. Stephanie, thanks.
All right. All right. Let's pull up my agenda. All right. So, Commissioner Young,
I'm here.
Commissioner Bogue,
Here.
Commissioner Hardy. I see that you are present. So I guess we're all here.
Yep. All right, great. Thank you. So our
sorry, and then Jeff, I saw him too.
Yeah.
Pardon me.
All right, so everybody's here. Thank you all. So our first order of business is the approval of the minutes. Does anyone have any changes, additions, comments, anything like that? Hearing none. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion.
And a second. Great, thank you very much. So that motion carries. Oh, sorry, we have to do the vote. So can everybody that is for the approval of the minutes, everybody that approves, either raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
All right, so that carries. So then our next item on the agenda is the first public commentary, and this is agenda items only.
Is there any member of the public that would like to speak? There will be another opportunity towards the end of the meeting as well. Just give them a moment. I am seeing none for right now.
All right. Great. Next thing is the approval of the minutes, and this is from our May meeting. You should have gotten those. Does anyone have any changes or additions or any clarification? All right. Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Thanks, Emma. And a second. Thank you, Jeb. And could we have a vote? So everybody that approves, raise your hand or say aye. Great. Any nays? All right. That motion carries as well. So we have approval of the minutes. And now we'll move on to our regular business items.
All right. Well, the first item I have is about the deadline that's just passed for yearly stall and parking payments. It was a little more interesting than normal because due to a few things going on within finance and shifting around of people's roles, the bills went out much later than we had hoped. But we were flexible on the back end for some folks that were maybe slightly on the later end. It wasn't really necessary because most people were very prompt and on time. And for those that need a refresher, remember that for annual vendors, this is a required deadline. Everyone must pay their stall and parking fees by the June 30th fiscal year end. Whereas daily vendors, they have a choice. If they would like to, they can. If they don't want to, they don't have to. And this year, like last year, there's, maybe like a handful of the most regular vendors that opt for that. But, the majority of daily vendors still continue to pay per day. And that also includes mobile food vendors. They don't have to pay in advance. And I actually don't think we give them the opportunity to do so. Excuse me, because their status is a little bit more tenuous and they're not in the seniority listing. But yeah, we got everyone's payment that we expected to get. So it was a little hectic. I think one day we had like 27 people pay at market alone. So clearly an uptick of our workload for that. But the good news is next year we anticipate moving over to the Civic Rec program so that we will be able to create invoices ourselves, update invoices ourselves, because that remains to be an issue, right? You know, if the invoice is incorrect, we can't change it on the fly. We have to wait to get an updated version, or we have to issue a second one if it's not, you know, say if it's like half a payment. To give an example, from this year, one vendor, his parking space or one of his parking spaces was accidentally left off the bill. So he had to wait to pay the other part until we had that other invoice in hand, like a week or two later. So, you know, it's not the end of the world, but it does make it very complicated and not a straightforward process. So we're hoping that next year we'll be able to get it up and running in that other program that will have more autonomy and ability to edit things. Yeah, anyone have any questions on that?
Okay. And we can move on to the next item, vendor attendance and stall move up.
All right, well, another thing that comes directly out of the fiscal year deadline is who has what stalls and what people's attendance were, because that's the same deadline. So people, in order to maintain their place in the seniority list, they have to come minimum of 15 times in the fiscal year, meaning July 1st to June 30th, because we are in the city of Ann Arbor's calendar for that, not the market season. And pretty much, you know, June 30th is the last date for people to get their 15 times. And then after that happens, our sign-in sheets move around. For an annual vendor, that's where we take people off that we know that they have retired or they're not attending this year or whatever is going on with them. So that's when we open up those stalls. So that lets us know how many we will have available for move up. And then it also rejiggers the lists in terms of where people have their seniority. And I can actually show you an example if you want to, if you would like. I was actually updating this right before the meeting. I can show you perhaps a before and after of the daily vendor list if you are so inclined.
Sure.
Yes.
Cool. All right. Well, let me show you the before version first. Oh, sorry, that was the wrong. That's supposed to be another thing that is showing itself to you. Oh, sorry, my computer is being interesting. Hold that thought. This is the correct one. The correct before is loaded right now. All right, so you can see here the people that are highlighted in orange are people that are new vendors for 2025. You can see that.
Stephanie, we're still seeing the old sheet, which looks
okay.
like the annuals.
Weird. Well, I was able to see it, and I guess my computer just did not want to show it to you. All right. So there you should see it now.
There, yep.
Okay, cool. So as I was saying, people that are highlighted in orange are new vendors for 2025. That starts over here. And then I have our mobile food vendors, which includes food trucks, food carts, and pop-ups. And these are people that participate during market days. There's a completely separate list for our food truck rallies. But this is for this year specifically. So this is the before. And pretty much the movement you're going to notice on the left-hand column. So take a mental picture, and I'm going to stop sharing, and then I will show you the after right now once I get it pulled up correctly. The suspense is part of it. All right. So I made one that was after our attendance information got entered. So you can see the new vendors moved up, and we have a bunch of other people below them now, and those are people that did not get their 15 times. So we can see they start at number 42, and they go all the way down to the end of the list, which is 54. I should say too, we do have a process if somebody is like very close to their thing, but they don't think they're going to make it, we do have an attendance waiver that we can fill out for them if there's extenuating circumstances, so that they won't lose their seniority. But everybody else, automatically gets bumped down the list. And this is just the daily list. So does anyone have any questions about this in particular?
So can you just say a little bit more about the attendance waiver? Is that something that the vendor themselves need to come talk to you about? Or do you say, hey, you're pretty close?
They have to be the ones that start the conversation, and that's outlined in the rules.
Okay.
And this is something that became really prevalent during COVID, obviously. But since then, it's pretty rare. I get maybe one per year, if that. I know there was a vendor who has a health issue going on. They just called yesterday. So they're probably looking to get a waiver because they have a medical reason that they're not able to attend. But yeah, usually it's stuff like that. It's not just, oh, I didn't feel like it, I couldn't,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's something, it's serious stuff. But the way that excuse me, the way that the rules are written, as long as it's submitted to us by the last day of the fiscal year, June 30th, it's in play for the following year. So it can't be an after the fact thing either. It can't be like, oh shoot, I forgot. Can I have a retroactive waiver? That's not how it works.
Great. It's just having the clarification that it's the vendor initiated
It
is
is.
great. Thanks for
Yep.
that reminder.
But I do. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jeff.
No, you can finish. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, but what I will do is I'll give people a warning a couple weeks in advance saying, hey, you still need a couple markets. By the way, don't forget. Or there's people that are checking, like, how much did I get my 15 times? Can you let me know? I want to make sure, that also happens. Go ahead, Jeb.
Yep. So just for point of clarification, so 1 through 26 are daily vendors who've met their 15. 42 and down are daily vendors who did not meet their 15. So then
Right.
new vendors, did they get bumped in front of those who did not make their 15? As it looks like. I don't know
They
if
do.
that's the normal.
Yes, because everyone else gets bumped to the bottom of the list is the way
Yeah.
that it's written by the rules.
Right.
And all these new vendors, like, they haven't had the opportunity to be at market enough to be able to do that. There are people that already have gotten their 15 because they've been at every single market, like Eveland Syrups, for example, is one of those. No problem for them. But other people are, they're really different times of starting. Like, some of these people started like in June.
Got
You
it.
know what I mean? So there's just not an opportunity for them. So theirs kicks in for next year. So meaning, like, from July 1st until next June, the clock has started for them. But that's why it gets a little confusing and convoluted. And honestly, some of these people are vendors that they know they want to come sporadically when they're okay with being bumped down. Like Nature Nurture, for example, they came like maybe twice last year. And that's okay, and they're okay with that. Any other questions on this before I switch back to the one I accidentally showed you first, the annuals? All right.
Thank you.
So, annual vendors. I accidentally. Oh, here it is. Thought I closed it, but I did not. All right. So for this one, this looks a bit different. Unlike the other list, which was just a list that is numerically in order, this corresponds to people's stalls. So you'll notice things that say unassigned next to it reflect vendors who have retired, or for whatever reason are no longer attending market. The only exception to that is stall 104, which was a leftover stall that no one claimed last move up. But 30 is the sadness of Cafe Japan not being a vendor any longer. Miyoko did say she may pop in sporadically as a daily vendor, but she is retired officially. 73 and 72 is Tujong. He's officially retired as well. He was having a lot of health issues. He was having a hard time finding help. So he has made a decision to only attend Farmington on Saturdays. So we miss him. So that's what's up with those two stalls. And that was one we had anticipated. But that's the other thing with the fiscal year is that I can't update all of this until the fiscal year has passed. Because these are people that had already, paid through, had their application in on time, had their attendance. So then if we scroll on down, I realized there's one that is erroneous. Dana Brooks did relinquish her second stall, which is, I'll get to that in a minute. I almost jumped ahead. And so that is that. And then over here, 131 is also a retirement of, Beulah Meadows, aka Do Nothing Farm. They have retired as well. Is another health related issue. Stall 127 isn't really a stall. It's still on the list because of the redesign on Fifth took it away. But that's what that is about. And then 111 through 114, you may know that is Spar. So unfortunately, they were not able to successfully complete a transfer seniority. So they are no longer vendors. And this is the real estate that has been opened up for move up. Does anyone have any questions?
Are any of those stalls affected by the construction, or is that still worked out? Okay.
No. Well, maybe 104 would be, but that's not really that desirable of a stall as it is.
Okay.
Which is why it was left over last year. And yeah, hopefully that will be a non-issue soon. But the way that Move Up works is that we have to have 2 for every individual that gets their seniority. And for artisans, we are at maxed out. So the reason that Stephen Kennard will be finally getting his seniority is because Dana Brooks relinquished her second stall. So Stephen will be getting his bump when we have stall move up in September. We've not chosen a date yet, but it's usually on a Saturday in September. It's not a football game. So we'll look at the calendar and figure that out soon. Then everybody else, I don't know if people are tracking. I believe it's at least 5 vendors will be getting their seniority this year. Because we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 10. Yep, I believe that there is 10 stalls. But maybe 4 or 5. I think it's like Stephen and then additional 4. But I'm not remembering off the top of my head right now. Okay, any other questions on this?
All righty, great. Thank you for all that great information. So the next thing is marketing and outreach.
Yes. So we are in the thick of it. We just had the first food truck rally of the year last night. We've been doing a lot of focus for the marketing for that, for the food truck rallies, and then other things that are going on. Another part of the outreach that we're doing has been trying to help vendors get set up for the new changes for the Senior Project Fresh program, the WIC program that changed last year. So there's also that side. It's not like the marketing, it's more of the outreach in terms of trying to get people signed up so that we have vendors that can take those benefits for people. And I'm still hoping that we will relaunch the vendor spotlight soon. But I do not have a timeline on that for a reason that I will reveal a little bit later. But it's just a little short update. But beyond that, mostly where we do the marketing and outreach, we have a posting in the Gov delivery. So if you are a subscriber to Parks for the city, you will get a weekly piece of information about what's in season, who our food trucks are, if there's live music, if there's special events. That's one place to find it. Another place is the Ann Arbor Observer. We regularly send them a list of our monthly events that they then post in their print magazine. And then our other main source that we do is our social media, of course, and then also our website. And then to a lesser degree, we also advertise in Edible Wow. And when we put our advertisement in there, we try to put like seasonal information. Like this one has the food truck rally info, for example. So yeah, we have a multifaceted approach with that. So I don't know if anyone has any questions.
Any questions? Looks like we just lost Jeb too. Hopefully he'll be able to get
Oh.
back on.
Uh-oh.
All right, the next thing is the events.
All right. As I just said, food truck rally, first one last night. I think people that attended had a good time, but I did notice it was a little bit down in attendance from the previous. I think partly that was a weather related thing because the storms ended like 15 minutes before we opened for the most part. And then also, I don't know directly the impacts, but Art Fair did close the streets a day earlier this year. So I'm assuming that had potentially some impact. We actually had someone call during the day yesterday about market, worried that they could not get to market because of Art Fair. So not sure what it was, but vendors I spoke to had a great time, enjoyed it. Customers that were there, it was still a good turnout. It just wasn't the unbelievable turnout that July usually is. But weather is very dependent on a lot of the stuff that we do. Excuse me, but we had about 16 businesses participate. Tea House was a late ad, which was kind of exciting to have more beverage options. And then one of our vendors, in addition to Jeff, one of our new cookie vendors asked if they could participate as well. So we did have 2 regular market vendors in addition to everybody else participate this time. And we did have live music. We had henna. We had hoped to have the Ecology Center there helping sort waste. They had to cancel at the last minute. We were also hoping to have the library there, but I think there was like a scheduling miscommunication. But they hope to be at the August one with their puppet petting zoo. So we'll at least have some kids' activities for the food truck rally. So I don't know if anyone has any questions on the rally.
All right, thank you. The next thing is grants and research.
Well, I do have other events. I just was asked
Oh, sorry.
that specific. Sorry. And then yes, we have had our cooking demos. They were pretty successful this month. Desprit from Zyka, another vendor, conducted one that was last Wednesday. And again, weather was a little rainy, but he still had a really good turnout. I would say there was maybe about 50 people that participated in that cooking demo. He made 3 dishes inspired by his recent trekking in the Himalayas. And he was also showcasing the technique of fermentation. So he made a fermented beet drink similar to what we would think of as a beet kvass. He also made a Nepali stew with lots of seasonal vegetables and then a mushroom biryani. So it was really great. As always, he does a really good job. Was able to showcase market produce, purchased that day, and also Saturday, and then also showcasing their spices. So that was our third one. We have 2 more scheduled. The next one is a canning demonstration with fruit jam, which Karen is going to conduct. She's one of our community members that did a demo last year, but had a very bad weather impact. So we invited her back to do another one. So hopefully the weather is going to improve. And then our last one in September will be done by Alex, our newer vendor from Ukrainian homemade food. So we're looking forward to that. I don't know what he's going to make yet. And he may show up in his bumblebee suit or the panda suit, which he's been spotted wearing at market recently. So that's all the stuff that's grant funded again with those things. The only other event that's on our radar to be aware of is the local food fest. This year it's going to be Thursday, August 28th. That is an OSI lead event, but we and Argus are co-partners, co-sponsors, and we're still ironing out details. But if anyone wants to participate as a vendor, as a community group, let us know and we will get you signed up. Now that is all I have for events.
Okay, thank you. I enjoyed the video that you posted on Facebook of the Jaspreet with his cooking demonstration. I thought he did a really nice job, and it was nice to see that he laid out the recipes and things like that. So it's great.
Yeah.
Good, thank you. Anything else that anyone would like to say? All right, great. So grants and research.
All right. So this one sort of overlapped with marketing, but I figured it'd be better to be in this section. So as you know, we've been working with MSU on a farmers market promotion program grant, or a USDA FMPP, if you want the acronym. And it's gone into its next phase. So last year, we had, and I think also earlier this year, we had some of the staff or the researchers coming to collect data about attendance of customers, what they're shopping for, all that juicy demographic information. And now this year, which has just started in the last week, is the next phase. And that is including a survey for people to fill out. And how that works is that they have identified a bunch of people to receive mailers. And with the mailer, there's a little flyer that says if you bring it to the market, you can redeem it for a $5 token once you complete your survey. So we've had, I want to say 5 or 6 people so far that have turned that in. And I should point out as well that we are getting reimbursed for that money. So it's the first 200 people will be getting a $5 token, and we as the market are getting reimbursed $1,000 for that to recoup the cost of the tokens. So that's a pretty exciting development. As I said, the whole point of it is marketing. It's to get people to the market that have not attended before, to capture new folks. And yeah, they pretty much picked a bunch of zip codes and areas and then just did a mass mailing. So that's how that worked. But when I do see Jeb, he is locked out, but we'll be back soon.
Okay.
And Phil Warsaw is the lead on that project, if you did not recall. Hey, Jeb, welcome back.
Hi, thank you.
Sorry.
It was a squirrel attack.
Oh, no.
Uh-oh. That's no good.
Anything else on
Anyone have
grants
any-
and research?
Anyone have any questions on that? Sorry.
Okay, great.
Okay, I do have an update that within the last week, our grant for this year's Double Up Food Bucks has been signed. If you are aware of how the process works, it's a very long process. It takes multiple months from us receiving our closeout letter with Fair Food Network to be able to get the 6 signatures of people who run the city to sign off on our grants to be able to have more money to get paid out for the Double Food Bucks program. So it's exciting always when it goes through, at least on our end. I don't know. I don't think there's anything else that needs to happen. I believe it already went to council, and that's, everyone else signed off on it. So that's the other big news that I have in our grant and research category.
That's great. I hope the cuts to SNAP don't affect that. But
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're going to impact directly on the Fair Food Network side of the funding, but they're definitely going to.
Yeah. Just
do
in
a few
availability.
Just, if you have less to take off your card, you're
Yep.
just going to be able to match less, sadly.
Yep. Anything else on grants and research?
I do have one
Okay.
more.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. This is a brand new one. So Michigan Farmers Market Association, they are doing a new pilot program that we are part of, that is called like a shared fundraising initiative. And the idea behind it is part research behind like what's the best way to get fundraising for farmers markets. And then the other side of it is to make up for lost funding that has happened recently to Michigan Farmers Market Association. So the idea behind it is a shared marketing thing where any money that's coming in, we get 50% of it. Or I should say not any money that's coming in, any money that's coming in through this program. 50% goes to the market, 50% goes to MIFMA. And we just had a webinar about it yesterday. So it hasn't started yet, but there will be more information coming soon about that, about how the outreach will work at market. I think a lot of it is just like QR code based donation, and then they'll cut us a check that can go directly into market funds. We were hoping to use it for paying performers, but there's a lot of other ways we could use it depending on how much we're able to raise. So it's a brand new one as of yesterday. But I believe there's 6 other markets participating in this pilot. There may be 8.
All right. Any questions? Okay. On to the next thing, recruiting new PMAC members.
All right. Well, I personally have not heard yet what the status is of applicants for other folks. Lisa, have you heard back from your inquiry?
No, I just sent it to the general mayor's office, but I haven't heard back yet. So I just sent an email 2 days ago to the mayor's office just saying, we've heard that there's some applicants. Could you update us so that we can help fill these recruit people for these positions? And I have not heard back anything. So I really think we all just need to start pounding the pavement and really bugging people to apply, because it would really, really, really be nice to get some new PMAC members. And it always takes a while to get through the city. And I think if a couple more people have applied, that's when we can really start putting pressure on the mayor's office to say, okay, make your decision, because it has to be approved. They have to be approved by the mayor's office. So.
And I know that Carleen Getz has submitted an application. She's just not sure if it was received.
Yep.
So I'm not sure about others, because I know there were some ideas people threw out at some of the other meetings. I just don't know what the status is.
Tomorrow I'll have a little time and I can email you all the link again and just send it out to people. Like I keep saying I'm going to send it to one of my neighbors and I keep forgetting. So I'm going to put that on my high priority to-do list. So. Any comments, questions about that? Just a reminder, we've got one vendor position open, customer position open, and then sort of at large from any of the categories that's open too. Great. All righty. Next thing is our favorite, facilities repairs and demolition updates.
All right. So I guess we'll go with good news first. So the water to the stalls is back on. Huzzah! We've been waiting many months. We were hoping that would happen in the end of May. It happened last week. And it happened, maybe a day earlier than we had anticipated. So that was exciting. So yeah, it's city water. It's totally potable water. We are probably going to get a food grade hose that we haven't gotten yet. So that will be for the, use for cooking demos. But, it's literally just city water coming through the market pipes. So that's very exciting. The other similar water related update is we now have a water cooler in the office after a very long time of having just bottles of water available for vendors. Now we have, you can go fill up your own bottle. You can fill up a cup. We got cold and hot spring water available now. So, and it all kind of happened on the same day. So that was pretty exciting. That we went from no water to all the water. So that's the good news. The maybe medium news, it's not necessarily bad, but the construction fence is still not down. The second part of the demolition is still not completed, which is concrete and gravel being laid down into that space so that it will no longer cut off that side of the market from access from customers. It will get reconnected finally to the sidewalk. I've been told that it should be by the end of the month, but take that with a grain of salt because you know how it goes. I think part of the delay was that they were waiting for a shipment of the concrete. Part of it has been weather related. I know that park planners are tearing their hair out, trying to figure out what the holdup has been, and they are doing everything that they can to encourage the contractors to just simply get it done. So there's that part. I'm trying to think. And yeah, once that's all done, that's the other side of it, because planners are having to take time out of their day figuring this part out. They still haven't been able to do the RFP yet. So that's the other issue, is that the more they have to focus on that not being completed, the longer the community engagement gets pushed out. So hopefully once the fence is down, the surface is back, we can move on to the next phase of planning for what will replace the old office building. So that's like demolition side updates. I do have other updates, but I just wanted to pause for questions if folks have them. Okay. So yeah, there's other repairs going on. There's been a bunch of encounters with the roof and drain pipes over the last couple of weeks. Park Ops has fixed those pretty rapidly because again, it's a bigger safety issue, but we do have multiple tickets that are still in that have not been addressed yet. That includes gutters being clogged over by the 5th Detroit Street entrance of the market, which when it rained really hard on a market day a couple of weeks ago, it flooded into the area we were going to be having the cooking demo. So definitely had to bring out my squeegee to remove the extra water. So that's an open ticket. The other open ticket is obviously the bird netting that I've heard rumblings it may be August. They're going to try to revisit once the birds are gone. Again, I don't have any concrete information other than that. And then the other major ticket that is still outstanding is the one that Jeb had brought up at a previous meeting, and the tripping hazard in the area around stalls 140 and 141, which is basically a side entrance that people use when they're accessing the market coming across the street from community and that other side of the sidewalk. So I'm not sure what the delay is on striping that area. But once Remy gets back from vacation next week, I will have him reach out to Park Ops and see, what the delay is. I imagine it's because of the demolition delays. They're just focusing all their energies on getting that completed. But obviously that's really important. Tripping hazard area that really needs to be addressed, that we hope is, is coming soon on that. And then the last other thing I will point out that you may have noticed is that they did the first phase, and by they I mean PCI, formerly known as Republic Parking. They did restripe the majority of the lot. For some reason, they did not do the accessible spaces, which was a little confusing to me. But I know that they plan on finishing it once the gravel and concrete in our demolition footprint is completed, because there are still some holes that were left when they had to move the electrical line, like holes in the pavement. So I guess that's another good news. We were waiting for that for at least 2 years. It was to the point where you could not see where many of the spaces were any longer. And it also restriped the sandlot area, which is an area that, people were sort of parking in that should not have been. And now it is striped in a way that, tells you not to park there. And I believe that is all the updates of repairs and things, unless I'm forgetting something.
Anybody have any questions or comments? Okay. Construction updates.
Well, as you have noticed, construction continues at the 2 active sites, both Dunbar Tower and the MABD 330 Detroit Street. I always forget which one is 330 and which one's 303. So yes, 330 is the one across the street. 303 is next door. We continue to have issues with construction workers parking places that they should not be parking. We have signs, already permanent signs in the market. We also have additional sandwich board signs that say no construction parking, that we put up on market days. Even with all of these signs, like I talked to someone yesterday who was parking, and I could clearly tell they were at the job site, and I was like, you didn't see the multiple signs? And they said, oh no, whatever. It was fine. They were nice. They left. But it's just an ongoing issue. And then the downside of all of this is that when they can't park in the lot, then they took every single parking space on 4th. So, and these are people with pickup trucks. They could easily fit in the structure. It even says on our sign, like, Ann Ashley parking structure is available. So I'm not really sure what more we can do beyond bringing this up to the planning staff, talking about it here. Maybe the planning commission needs to hear about it, that they need to have more teeth in their development agreements, which give people parking passes to park in a structure or a surface lot. And that's the other thing too, is all of these people are individual drivers too. There's no carpooling that I have ever seen them doing. And pretty much every vehicle seems like it's either a pickup truck or a van. So, bigger vehicles, but certainly not too tall to fit in a structure or even in a surface lot that's 2 blocks away. So, it's an ongoing point of frustration. And I worry, if this is what it's like now, what is it going to be like when there's 1 to 2 other construction projects. Because the 303 Detroit Street was approved by council on July 7th. We're not sure of the timeline as of yet. I know Remy was meeting with Greg from MABD to figure out easement issues on the Detroit Street entrance area. Trying to make sure it's not cutting into any stall space. And also MABD will be using our footprint for their staging. So they said it's going to be 18 feet from the building into our space on the back side of the stall. So like where the construction fence is right now, in essence, split that down the middle, 18 feet out from their wall is going to be where their cranes are located, other construction stuff. So that's coming. And I'm not sure exactly when that will be happening. They will also be closing off the sidewalk on 4th at some point in and around their building, which will, of course, impact market access, but who knows? I'm hopeful that delays will just mean that Dunbar Tower is pretty much done, and then they will start. I'm hopeful. I also have heard nothing about Braun Court in a very long time. So I'm also hopeful that their timeline is lagging. It's also not been approved as far as I know yet. So this is where we are right now for the construction. The Dunbar Tower, they had initially said they hope to have people moved in February. They look to be on that schedule. They're moving very, very quickly. The whole building is constructed. They're just working on the inside and the outside right now.
So when I went to a planning commission meeting in May, I definitely brought this up, and my point is that everybody needs to be a good neighbor, and one of the huge issues was parking. And the planning commission talked about it a lot and was very concerned, and the planning staff from the city was definitely open to with the planning commissioners really pushing on this. We need to get this parking resolved, was definitely open to a conversation. So I guess the question is, how does that conversation move forward? And then it also seems like there needs to be a discussion about what appropriate parking would look like. Like, it seems like not only the lot, but I was there multiple Wednesdays when there were a bunch of construction vehicles on Detroit Street, which is not good either.
Still an issue, but not as much of an issue, but yes, still an issue.
Yeah. So Greg from MAVD actually said, can it be marked where so that they can tell the construction workers they can't park in these spots. He was still wanting part of Detroit Street open. I don't think that's going to be less of an issue for 303, their marketplace, but maybe not. Anyway, so I guess my real question is, how do we move forward on this? Because the other thing that Greg had said at that meeting was, it seemed like he wanted some sort of revolution, some sort of the issue being resolved and clear before their construction started. And I really think the market's been generous in giving them staging space. So Stephanie, you and Remy need to say, look, we're being good neighbors to you.
Remy's the one brokering all of this, by the way. But
yeah.
Yes.
Well, so do I need to write an email to Remy and say,
yes, go ahead.
All right.
That would be great.
Okay. And I think I sent you all an update when I went to that planning commission meeting, and I think I CC'd Remy on it, but I will email him
Can't
again.
hurt to revisit.
Okay. All right. Does anybody else have any suggestions on for parking and the construction that's going on and things like that, suggestions of things that I could put in the email to Remy to try to get this resolved before construction starts on 303, because it's going to have a huge impact on the market. And I don't think it's going to be a fast project either.
Not at the rate they're going with the other one.
Yeah, that, and it's, it's not a new building. It's the one across the street, 330 was a new building. This is retrofitting an old building and parts of an old building and then the new addition. So any ideas? Jeb and Jeff, your guys are there to see what's going on, and I don't know if you have any other suggestions.
So are they going to close down the sidewalk on Detroit Street?
Not that I know of.
Just on 4th, right where their construction's happening, and
because that's where they're putting the car elevator.
And this they, in their contract with the city, they are supposed to do wayfinding in that, on that section. So there still should be ways for people to get to the market. And then they're supposed to replace all that, anything they've damaged in that construction at the end of the project. So hopefully it won't affect the bike racks and things like that. So, yeah. Jeb, it looks like you're unmuted.
Yep. No, I'm good. I'm just listening, and it's a constant problem.
Okay. Well, if like I said, I'll email you guys tomorrow with the links for the application for PMAC. If you have any other suggestions, please shoot me back an email and I'll send that off to Remy next week.
I had other ideas, like give them a parking pass to park in the other areas. Make it clearly marked that this is a construction vehicle. I mean, for me, it's easy to figure out job site workers because they're literally wearing bright orange or bright yellow. It's pretty easy who's getting out of their truck with a toolbox. You know what I'm saying? It's that part's easy. But I wonder if the city could mark these vehicles as well, because I don't think the city really has a concept of how many construction vehicles are taking up public parking. And I know that O'Neill, like, they purchased a bunch of parking for their workers. And I think the other part where they get really standoffish about it is the fact that we're only open 3 days a week, as a space. So they get all like attitudinal that, oh, well, you're just here such and such a time. I mean, someone has told me this before. Well, you're only here. I'm like, well, we've been here since 1930 was my response to him. Like, what, what do you want us to do? So.
Well, and the ask is,
sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, the ask is, Wednesdays and Saturdays. So
correct.
That's when it needs to be restricted. It's not all the other days of the week.
Right. And I was just going to add something else, is that we've also had issues recently of the parking meter staff ticketing vendors early in the morning when load in is going on, and then also later in the day. So we have also gotten the city to inform people in the last couple of weeks that, there should be no ticketing of any vendors 5 to 7 a.m. and 2 to 4 p.m. It's off limits. It shouldn't happen. So I don't know if we can fold this into being more aware of construction parking and perhaps exclude them from the areas around that same time. I mean, that seems like the next logical step here. Saying like no parking during those times specifically. Although it would be nice if we could just say no parking Wednesdays and Saturdays for construction vehicles.
Yeah. I mean, at least till 3 a.m. So, yeah. For the vendors, does the market have something that vendors can put on their windshield to specifically say, these are loading, I'm loading and unloading. So that would be a mark then for the transportation staff.
Well, we have what we already use for market staff. It basically says like employee parking, farmers market, you know. And that's what we use when we park in the sandlot when we're not open. I mean, because I'm the only one that has like a real parking pass. All the other ones are these just like mock-up ones with our logo.
So I'm
But-
just thinking about those vendors that got ticketed. Is that something that they could get to put in their windshield to just say,
I mean, probably, but the city said that, they're not going to be, they've instructed the staff to not ticket around the market in those timeframes.
I'm just thinking about making that staff easier too, to just say, clearly this is somebody who's a vendor at the market and they shouldn't be ticketed.
We could.
Okay.
It's just something that, I'm hoping that them talking to PD, talking to the folks should be enough, at least on our side. But conversely, perhaps they need to ramp up the ticketing of construction vehicles that are in our areas when they have been repeatedly told. And that's one of the other issues with MAVD as well. I've had multiple conversations with Greg that he needs to tell all of the people that work for him that they can't park there. In the beginning, he basically tried to say that he had told them that, but it's clear from, his comments, the planning commission, that that's perhaps not actually the case. If he's not actively telling people not to park on those areas. And most recently, it's been a lot of electricians that have been parking there with their clearly identifiable trucks. So I think, it's not just on us, is what I would like to say. As you know.
Yeah.
It also needs to be clearly communicated to their staff.
Yeah. So Stephanie, what happens on market day? Like, I know there was one Saturday that I was there, and Lena was the assistant market managers were clearly upset because they told people to move, and they got a lot of pushback. So is there anything, what does the sequence look like to go up the chain of command to report any issues that are happening?
I mean, I contact Greg directly, personally. First, that is after I talk to somebody and they're not complying, we'll say. I've reached out to him multiple times when this has happened in the past. And
Right.
I mean, it did get slightly better when they opened their underground parking.
Mm-hmm.
But, we're going to go through this all over again very soon, as you were saying.
And the space is going to be tighter for 303, I think. So, okay. All
I just
right.
have one thing to add on the parking.
Yeah.
Is that I got feedback from one of the food truck rally vendors that they were quite aggressively told to move and not park there because they staff did not realize that they were a vendor, and they almost like did not keep participating because of that. So maybe
Do you know which
slightly
vendor?
nice.
I mean, don't have to tell me now. If you want to tell me offline, you can.
I do know the vendor.
Yeah, you can give me the info, because usually, like, I just go up to someone and I say, "Hey, are you here for the food truck rally?"
Yeah, it wasn't you,
Yeah.
because they said it was a staff member with curly hair, which is not you.
Oh,
But
gotcha.
they just felt very
Okay.
unwelcome in the space as a vendor.
I would just love to follow up with them. That's the only reason I wanted to hear. Because I think from our side of it, it just gets so frustrating. So I can understand, because people just disregard. I had someone yell
No,
at me
I
yesterday.
understand why it would happen.
I
just, yeah,
It was
because there's
just
a lot.
It was just unfortunate. Like, for example, last night with the food truck rally, I had someone get into an argument with me that had tried to park there, that was literally like going to the Pilates studio in Carytown. Like, you're not here for the event. And the reason I had asked them to move was that they were blocking a truck that was trying to detach from its trailer so that it was not in the fire lane. And I was like, no, you don't understand. Like, this is safety. Like, you have to leave. And they just were not having it. So it can be hard to be in that role. So I get it. But yeah, if you can share that.
Oh no, yeah.
Yeah,
This is what the construction is doing to us.
Thanks
Anyway,
for sharing that, Emma, and
thanks, that's helpful.
sorry that happened. Yeah, I mean, the construction's a reoccurring thing, and yeah, since the food trucks are happening once a month, yeah, I'm wondering about, I know you do signs and things like that, but I don't know how you make people aware that are coming then to use the stuff at Carytown that are usually used to parking in the lot on every other evening, except once a month. So it's
I put
hard.
signs up at probably before 6 a.m. At every stall that I can that says no parking after 3 p.m. food truck rally. And this person was like trying to tell me that they had seen the sign, but chose that one instead because they thought it didn't apply to that. And this is, mind you, the food truck rally was happening. There was at least 12 food trucks visible at this time.
Yeah.
So I think it's also a question of some people just don't care, unfortunately.
And the lore about how horrible parking is around there too. So, I mean, it's tight, but you need to be creative too. So
right. And I think
parkers.
too, what makes it harder is like last night, for example, is that we had some space that we did open the lot for customers. It just was like, if they had waited a second to get this person situated, it would have been fine. It just was like the fact, that they were so aggressive about it and then wouldn't move when I'm like, no, you don't understand. This is a safety issue. Like, this is not negotiable. And then they still, it was just a hard thing. It happens.
Any other suggestions on the perpetual parking problems?
I mean, I think unfortunately the construction parking is compounding the issue. Like,
Yeah.
I think that there would be parking, no problem, on a Wednesday if it weren't for the construction vehicles. And literally yesterday, I'm not exaggerating, that they took every single metered spot on 4th. Up like all the way down to Kingsley and all the way down to Catherine. And that's not a ton of spaces, but that's at least like 10, 10 people that aren't coming to market now. And then, I mean, similarly, all of these job sites have also been working on Saturdays. Even though MAVD promised in the beginning that they said they weren't going to, I mean, that pretty much was out the window immediately. So that's, I think, the other problem. Like, it's not helping us at all when the construction folks are taking the very little parking that there is, because they are, for the most part, getting there really early. So that's good that Planning Commission and the planners want to do something. But I think it makes a lot of sense, at least to me, to give them parking passes, have them park in a surface lot, have them park in a structure, and then if they don't, ticket them. It seems pretty straightforward.
Do you know
are they able to park in the 2-hour limit spots all day? Because all of the metered spots are 2-hour parking.
I have no idea.
So that also seems like a thing the city might. Yeah.
I'm not sure, but they definitely,
because it's all 2-hour parking.
Yeah, I mean, but they're literally like 6 to 3 at least.
Right. Which
I have no idea, but that's a good point.
Because you can just re-up the meters and keep paying, but it does, like in the system, it doesn't prevent you from doing that, but it does violate the 2-hour parking limit.
Yeah, so maybe, who knows, maybe they're not patrolling that part of it, but that's really an important point.
Do you know, for the O'Neill construction project, the Dunbar Tower, where they bought the passes for the the workers that were working on that project? Are they for the parking structure? Because the parking structure, I think, has different rates than the meters do.
I'm not sure. I mean, I think it might have just been directly with PCI. I don't know, because I all I remember is in the very beginning, before they started anything, they had asked me if they could park in the market lot. And I was like, no, you can't on market days. Please no. So I think, but they had told me they were trying to figure out a way to, like, get it all paid for at once.
Yeah, I mean, I think
But
that
yeah, I
sounds
would
like a
assume
great
PCI,
skill.
but I do not know specifically.
Okay, great. Okie doke. Any other comments or questions? Great. Thank you all for that input.
It's really frustrating. I
Yeah.
just wish that this was not an additional thing that we had to deal with, because it's hard enough as is, to deal with our temporary space and all these other things.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Well,
it's just not helpful. And I think it's back to your point, is that, like, we've gone above and beyond in our being courteous. So that's why, like, it just makes me bristle a little bit when, like, I hear them suggest we need to be doing more.
well, and I think the 303 project is going to be even more disruptive.
Yep.
Okay.
Anyway,
Emma, producer only subcommittee updates. Got anything for us?
No, it's high summer right now, so people are pretty busy. But I was, wondering if there were any updates on the fall timeline for having an inspector.
well, I have a small update. I know that Remy has a plan that he was talking about before, and the plan was to see if Washtenaw Conservation District could help take on some of the inspection duties. So they are actually exploring the options within their framework, within their leadership, to see if that is something that is feasible. Unfortunately, the lead on that just went on parental leave. So hopefully, once they get back, I know they did pass it along to another person that is working on it, is asking about some questions to go back with them, but that is sort of where we're at right now. That was an interesting approach that Remy thought about, because again, they're already doing some inspections of purchase of development rights parcels. So that is where it stands.
That seems like it could be that seems like that could be a really good way of going forward. So that's great.
Yep, so we're hopeful, but I don't have a timeline beyond that.
Cool. But thank you. Yeah, and I don't have any other updates.
Great, thank you. Okay, now we're on to new business, non-agenda items.
I have one. So it pains me to announce that Layla actually put in her 2 weeks yesterday. So her final market will be, I believe that's the Wednesday market, 2 weeks from yesterday, so the 30th of July. Yeah. So I don't know if people have thoughts. I have, like, one specific question, but I don't know if people had any thoughts before. Maybe I should give you my context.
I guess I was just wondering if there was any context or sense of why the employment was so short.
I think part of it was a lot of the uncertainty of the temporary trailer, the storage unit, just it all being so, additionally stressful. In addition, I think that's a big part of it. I think another part is that her heart's really in working out in nature and really wanted to be doing more landscaping work, because she was working for a tree company before, and she has a degree in, like, environmental biology, so it makes sense. But I think it was sort of those two things together, and just the frustration of, I guess, sometimes, like, the pace of things in a large bureaucracy such as the city, I think, was also maybe part of it. like with a demolition project, right? Like this was supposed to be completely done by the end of May. And here we sit. And honestly too, like that trailer, the storage trailer situation, like it's great that we have it. But it's hard to utilize. It's also sort of dangerous the way that's set up. And the longer the construction fence stays there, the longer it is until we can actually open the drawbridge side of it, so things can get out easier. We don't have to be worrying about our, falling out the side of it trying to take the ladder out, because it's a very, very tight space. So I think there's a confluence of things, but I think it's sort of those two main things: wanting to work more outside in nature, and then just like the extra stress of our temporary staffing situation.
So my phone rang and I missed who's leaving. I'm sorry.
Oh, Layla. She put her 2 weeks in yesterday, or like last night.
Gotcha. Okay.
I was hoping she would
All
at
right.
least
That,
stay.
that was the only part I missed.
Yeah. I was hoping she would stay through the August 2nd market. But I think she said she's got a bunch of landscaping work lined up for that time, so just was not able to. Which brings me to my next question. So, do we wait to hire somebody so that we're not making ourselves short-staffed next summer? Or do we make ourselves short-staffed now so that we can streamline the process for the future? I do not know what the correct choice is. So didn't know if anyone had any input. It's a tough call, I know. Short-term versus long-term decision making.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
I know I said it before, and when we were talking on the market, and I don't know if necessarily if now would be the time to bring it up or not, but I really feel like you could use a maintenance person more than somebody to do all the grunt work.
I completely disagree, but I hear you. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Sorry to be so short. It might be cool to have somebody that like has both roles. Because like we're literally drowning like in administrative work that a lot of people just like don't see that we are doing all the time. Just like counting tokens alone is like an incredibly big time commitment. So like I don't know. I mean, the other option too would be, I don't know if Lunia wants the other job, like if she wants to be promoted to the full time. I haven't had a chance to talk to her about it yet. Before, I know she was not interested because she was still exploring what she wanted to do post grad school and stuff. So that might be part of it. And then if that happens, then it would be the 29 hours a week person who could maybe do double duty for maintenance and stuff like that. It's just, administratively, like I feel like that's where we need the most support. Even though park ops, they're slow at things, stuff needs to be fixed. But I don't think that there's that much stuff. But I could be wrong about that. Sorry to cut you off, Jeff.
So it seems like, Stephanie, for you, for making this decision, it's that you know best when those real tight administrative times come, and it seems like you need full staff during those months when you're
literally the only time that is good to not be full staff is January and February. That's the only time. Every other time we're either busy with applications, we're busy with payments, we're busy with the market season, we're busy with events. It's just not a good position to be in. And in this case, sometimes I wish that we were like a regular place that I could just hire people at will and not have to worry about this 2-month issue. Because say that they got hired at some point in August, that would mean that we're leaving June and July short staff for this year. And again, if they stay longer, for potential years into the future, not just 1 year. But
So it does
yeah.
have to be that they do like 10 months from
Yep.
when they start, and then 2 months,
Yep.
there's no way in the city to say like
Nope.
these are the months out of the year.
Nope.
Cool. Great.
That's partly why it's such a stressful, like, so when she told me that, I was just like, that's sad and we miss her, but immediately my mind went to this, like, oh no, short staffing is back. Like, we've finally gotten to this time where we felt like comfortable and dialed in. And then this like rears its ugly head again, which also is another reason why people don't stick around that long, quite frankly. So it's sort of like a double-edged sword there. And I think partly too, the market didn't really have to deal with this when Becky was here, because her 2 months off was January and February, and she was in that role for 5 years like that. Whereas since I've been here, I was thinking about it the other day, there's been at least 7 people that have worked for the market, maybe 8 since I've been here. So, this it keeps happening. It keeps being a reason. It keeps being something that drastically makes our job harder. Another additional thing I will add on is that the way park events are operating right now it has changed slightly. Is that, if there's somebody that wants to do an event at the market that's not a market event, like, they're expecting us to take it on, which obviously, like, we do not have the staff capacity for that at all, especially because my role, I'm not allowed to get overtime based on just my particular role within the city. So whereas like the temporary staff can. So like Layla and Lunia can get overtime. I can't. Which, is enough. It's a whole nother thing in and of itself. So I just really don't know what the right answer is, because it's like either way you slice it, it's not an ideal option. Because to make it reset, we would have to wait till March to hire another person. And, that's a long time. Especially when we're like just getting to high season right now. So
I'm wondering if this is a crisis that could be used as an opportunity to say that this assistant manager needs to be a full-time person, especially because of the added burden on the market of all the construction projects and the grants and research that you're taking on, and then all the chaos that the changes in food assistance are also creating for you. And I know this is a way that we could also happily write letters if you want to go that route. We would need to know how to do that. Not who to do that within the city. I mean,
well, I pretty much asked every single way multiple times all the time, and always the answer is no. Or the answer is, we can borrow staff from this site or that site or whatever. Like, none of these people are trained. And I just found out today that one of the people that we had used before from a different site who was trained on market procedures is no longer with the city. So the only other option that they've allowed us to do before would be to get a full-time person, but to have their hours be capped at 19 hours a week, which, it has its own drawbacks, right? Because it's not a full-time position. But that's the only way that they allow that to still be in compliance with like labor law and stuff.
but that would give you the flexibility then to work with that person to pick the time.
But it's not enough hours in the week.
So it has to be less than 50% for them to do it.
Yeah, it has to be 19 hours, no more every week. Which, that means that they wouldn't even be able to do 2 market days. Right? Like, they're already over 19 hours if they just did a full day Wednesday, Saturday.
And they're doing
And
those
no other
numbers
things.
per week.
Yes.
There's not over like a month.
Nope.
These are the only
Nope.
hours you can do.
Nope. It's very, very strict. And we did have one person that did that before. That was one of our interns that kind of became a staff person. Like, that's how we did it for them. But again, it's very, very restricted. You like literally cannot go above the 19 under any circumstances. Which, as I said, if they're doing, yeah, maybe it could work if it's like they do a 10-hour day on Saturday and then like come in slightly later on Wednesday or something. Like that's the only way that it would work. But then they wouldn't be able to do helping with anything else during the week. So I just don't know what the answer is. Also, it's like new information that I received at the end of the rally last night. So yeah.
Well, only having dealt with the big bureaucracy of the university, we have to fight all the time, and have to put together workload packages to sort of say, this is why this person needs, these are the stress points. And so
Yep.
it seems like that argument should work, or at least be an argument with the city too. And I guess talking to Remy too about what to do about your staffing issues. So
I literally can't exaggerate that I've brought this up like thousands of times. There also was, part of the reason that the second role became 40 hours is because like I advocated for it to increase the work through like the inspections, so like I had to even fight for a temporary 40-hour, because before that it was 2 29-hour temporary employees. Whereas now it's 1 29-hour and 1 40-hour, but both have to be fired for 2 months. So I don't know. It's somewhat of a conundrum. And I think, again, it makes sense to have this seasonal sort of structure if you are a seasonal facility, if you are the river, if you are like the ice rink or something like this. But for the market, it just does not make sense. And that's another thing, like I've tried to tell them, multiple times, like it's not the same for us. And I think part of it is that people think the market runs itself. I think is part of it. People don't know what it is that we actually do. And this is even vendors are implicated in this. So I don't know. But I guess the question really becomes is like, do we need staffing now? Yes. Do we also need staffing next summer? Yes. But what if we can't get that? Which one is more important? And at the current moment, because it's so middle of the season, like I'm inclined to just get somebody. But the downside too is like when we had Alex, for example, his 2 months off was September and October. And that was terrible. That's still high season. That makes it and that means that I have to do 16-hour days on the food truck rallies. Like it's just not, it's just not ideal. And it just means too, like it's much more stressful market day for us during the day, especially if there's an emergency. We have to choose between the emergency and then like helping customers. Like it just leads to a lot tougher decision making. And then of course, the hiring process takes a bunch of time that I also don't have right now, especially if we're going to be short staffed. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's a slippery slope to nowhere, I think.
The one thing I worry about with delaying is just because there has been fairly high staff turnover. Like it would be really terrible to delay until like March and then have that person again leave, because there's no guarantee once we get someone that they'll be there until the time that they're off. So that would be my worry with waiting for the perfect time, would be that we don't know if that person will, it matters a lot if they're going to be someone who's around for years and years, but we don't have any way of knowing whether they
honestly,
would. Yeah,
I agree. I just wish it could be that I just chose that January, February, we're good. Because right now, Lou, hers is like mid-February to mid-April, which fits really well with someone else being January, February. So it's not like horrible for the winter in case something happens and then there's like, only one person available. Um, I don't know. I, of course, will talk to Remy about this again, but he is in Colorado on his Peace Corps retreat, or reunion rather, until the middle of next week. So, we'll have an answer, but I don't know if it's even really going to be before she's done. Is the downside.
I guess the one other thing is if they're the to help the city realize the work that the market staff does is specifically asking for someone to come in and do the more routine tasks. Like you were saying, you guys were spending a lot of time counting tokens, and that seems like a task, and I may be naive, that could be set up for somebody to have instructions and do, or if they can help you automate it in any way, I don't know. But yet say specifically, this takes a lot of our time, that we need the market staff doing sort of higher level things. Just an idea to help fill in this gap that you have now. And also thinking about if there's still a list of applicants from since Layla, it hasn't been that long since she was hired. If the city would allow you to dig into that list of applicants again too.
I mean, I have all of that information because I'm the hiring manager on that. But like the point being is, there's a reason we didn't choose them. So, but to your point about tokens, that is literally what we make people do when they come to help us on a day that we're short staffed. We have them do tokens. We have them also do token sales, and that's pretty much it. Because everything else beyond that takes a level of knowledge that they won't have.
Yep. And I know it's harder in the trailer space and things like that, but I guess I would get on the city that saying we need somebody regularly to be doing this now.
Yeah, I mean, I already reached out to another facility this morning with our first two biggest need dates, which are August 9th and August 30th. The first one, Lunia's out of town. The second one, I'm out of town, and those are both Saturdays. So, that's first step for that. And then obviously, once Remy is back, I'll have better capacity to reach out to other folks under National Heritage Preservation or other places that he manages to be able to do that.
Okay, well, thanks for the update. Anybody else?
I mean, we're fine with covering, like we've done it before. I really don't want it to be a long-term thing, or knowing that we're like locking ourselves into it for future. June, July would be better than July, August, or August, September. But yeah, I mean, the timeline with how long they take and everything like that, we're probably going to be looking at at least July, August, if not August, September. If we hire someone.
Did Lunia have any input or thoughts on which kind of hiring would be better? I just would worry. I don't want the short staffing to snowball, just like the chaos has snowballed. Yeah,
I haven't had a chance to talk to her yet. I found this out literally last night. She already.
Yeah, because her input seems like it could be valuable for.
Oh yeah, and honestly, I feel like she does a lot of the work of what the second role is anyway. So, and I think for her, it just was the hours commitment. Like she didn't want to do the full time, which is totally fine. Which is partly why we had it the other way before. But who knows? That was 5 months ago. Maybe she changed her mind. I don't know. But then that would be a little bit easier to fill if it's just a 29-hour person than if it is the 40. You know what I mean? I would be less worried about filling that 29 hours than I would be for the 40 when we would be short staffed in the future. But yeah, I completely agree. Definitely going to speak with her once I have a chance.
Well, and I guess
yesterday was a very long day, so I was just letting people rest until bringing this up.
Is there also an option for Lunia to go up to the higher hour per week temporarily and then cut back down?
No.
Okay.
Nope, it would have to be like a permanent status change.
And it would probably restart her timeline, and then she'd have these 2 months
I
off,
don't think
or
that it would.
okay.
When this happened before with Hannah, it did not reset the clock for her. Sorry, Jeb.
No, I was just thinking if the 19-hour job, we haven't talked about that too much, but I'm wondering, that's a great question Emma just had, like the 19-hour person, if you could get them in it quickly, is it to have the same vesting process, the hiring process that the other?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so there's no quicker addition.
No, if anything, it's more strict, because it has to be just that like really permanent person. Whereas the other one's like a temporary. It's a lot more flexible. So yeah, there is no ideal answer. And that is why I was bringing it up. Go ahead, Jeff.
The 19 hours doesn't have the 2 month off period?
No, that's the trade-off. That's why it's really strictly 19. Since if they don't go above that, then they don't have to observe benefits.
Got
it. Is basically what it comes down to. And I should say too, there was an internal group within temporary staff that has been advocating at high levels in the city for multiple years to get this changed. So it's not just us, it's not just our site, it's not just our facility, it's not just our park. This is an across the board thing that many people have been working on for a long time. So I just wanted you all to not feel like we're the lone voice in all of this. This is something that's been very much acknowledged at higher levels, but a solution has just not been found yet that wouldn't make the budget even more of a difficult situation. Because pretty much every single park site is short staffed, just not necessarily at our level, because they're able to take on so many other temporary workers. Like the pools, for example, like they have 100 staff people that are temporary specifically, not including the supervisors.
Great. I want to be mindful of our time.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, and thanks for that update. I just want to put out there that we should actively be talking about when our next in-person meeting is. So, we all see each other regularly, but if we can start zeroing in on a month for that. And also, Stephanie, I know you know this, but Remy did promise us that community engagement would be they were moving forward on a timeline to start it in late summer and early fall, and here we are at late summer. So just know I'm going to continue to be that squeaky wheel on this, because I know we all want that project moving forward. So, and it would be great at our next in-person meeting if Remy could give us an update. It would be joyous if it was a plan for the community engagement. But so just want to put that out there, that it would be nice to have another in-person meeting, and it would again be nice to have Remy come and us to keep this conversation moving forward.
Yep, I just wanted to clarify that the same person having to advocate for the demolition being fixed is the same person that has to organize all of that. So the more we're pushed back on that, the more that is pushed back, and that is what the delay has been. So like, I do not think that there is a timeline currently.
Okay.
Until that is done.
Okay. Yeah. Seems like these it's frustrating that it's all falling, and I know this person is also frustrated how much falls on their desk, but the city needs to be moving forward on these things. So
there's only 2 parks planners.
I know, but and I know they've got a lot on their plate.
One is like, I think, on leave right now because they're in grad school. And remember too, there's a bunch of the other projects with the band shell and so many other things going on.
And I want to state again that the Ann Arbor Farmers Market is the second most visited park in the city, according to the city's own study. So I think that should be getting some priority. So
I think the other issue is a lot of the infrastructure is coming due all at the same time. There's a lot of issues. I believe at one of the golf courses, their barn almost collapsed a couple weeks ago. So there's many other things going on behind the scenes. And I agree that we're important. But I just wanted to stick up for them and say they are doing a very great job and working very hard. It's just that they are being tasked with like an incredible amount of things that is just not feasible for.
Yeah,
And
I'm
are
not.
also
I'm-
short-staffed, just like
Yes,
we are. So.
exactly, exactly.
And I understand all of that, but just continuing to express my frustration with the city not moving forward with many plans, but this one in particular, because, you know, we know it's not ADA compliant. The building came down. There's so much that needs to happen with the farmers market. So,
Yep.
All right. Anything else that anybody wants to bring up on new business? All right, then we'll move on to public comments the second time around.
All right. Is there any member of the public that would like to provide public comment at this time? And give them a moment. If you want to raise your hand, it is *9 if you have not done this before. Right, I'm seeing that there is one attendee, but I'm not seeing that they are raising their hand. So I think we may be good.
All right, well, it is 7:07. We'll adjourn this meeting, and thanks to everybody for being here on this crazy week in Ann Arbor and staying overtime a little bit.
Thanks
right.
all.
See you at the market.
Bye.
Thanks.